What's going on, guys? Proof here, bringing you a little different video than what I've given you the last couple times with the battle videos. Today I'm showing you what my Spike Brothers deck looks like as of base set 10. This is my main deck that I use, and it was a little different when I took it down to Atlanta a couple weeks ago. But after that, I decided to take the deck back to basics with how it was set up before, instead of trying to be as fancy. Just change it up to be more straight up in your face and have the opponent try to deal with the multitude of attacks you're going to be providing. I want to start it off with Mecha Trainer right here. Mecha Trainer is the Conroe of the clan. His ability is when you retire him, counterblast one, retire him, and then search your deck for any grade 1 or lower Spike Brothers and add it to your hand. He's the best starter that the clan has as of now. There's really no other option for him right now. You can use Babyface Isaac or Thermidor, but you really be selling yourself short if you're not using Mecha Trainer. And then 8 crit with Silence Joker and Sonic Breaker, Cheerful Links, 4 draw triggers, and then Cheer Girl Tiara, 4 heals. It's really the standard lineup for Spike Brothers as of right now, since you can use the stand triggers, but I prefer not to use them. I prefer to go with the all-in tactic of using the critical triggers. As for the grade 1s, we have Standard, 4 Maryland, 4 Reckless. Reckless's ability, he's just like Bracky, except for he's a grade 1 unit, and his ability is to Soul Blast 1, and then he gets 5,000 power, and then after he attacks, he goes back to the deck. It's really effective for those turns where you break ride, because you can add that power on top of the 10,000 you get from Bad End Dragger, and he attacks for 22,000 unboosted, which is amazing. 4 Wonder Boy, Standard. I have 3 if I decide to use 2 Daisy, but for now I decided just to go back and keep it simple, especially because if I go first and I ride Wonder Boy against most archetype decks, for example Revengers or Ancient Dragons, I can put down one of my many 10k shields that I have and guard that attack for no pass on the first turn, which helps Spike Brothers get that damage lead, which makes them very powerful. And then 1 Daisy as a tech. She comes in handy if you miss the break ride and you have to call her out with Dudley Emperor just to get that extra stage of boost for 5,000 power. Her skills, when she's called out from the deck during the battle phase, counterblast 1, she gets plus 5,000 power for the end of the turn, which is good in some regards, but other than that, she makes a handy 7k booster and is better than most other choices the clan has, in my opinion. Once Cheer Girl Carol comes out, I want to take Daisy out, and I'm going to take out 1 Wonder Boy and put in two Carol in there. Grade 2s, for me, 4 Dudley Mason, Standard for me. His ability is that when his attack hits the Vanguard, counterblast 1, put a Spike Brothers from your hand into the soul, and search your deck for a Spike Brothers and put it into an open rearguard circle. He's very handy for getting Reckless out onto the field. He's usually my primary target. If I already have a Reckless out and I don't have a need for a second one, chances are I'm going to grab a Bad End if I have Bad End in my hand and just call it out to have 1 less grade 3 in the deck for some general deck thinning capabilities. He's amazing. 4 High Speed Bracky, which is one of the cruxes of the deck. Just like Reckless, you Soul Blast 1 when it attacks and it gets plus 5,000 power. With the 7k booster behind it, or Wonder Boy, it hits for 21,000 plus when you use this ability, which is great, especially after you break ride. It jumps it up to 31,000, 32,000, which makes Bracky a high priority target that you want to get onto the field. And then something I've put back into the deck is Treasured Black Panther. I had Zachary in here for a little bit of time, but I decided to make the deck a little less fancy and just more beats, like I said before. And Panther, just like Wonder Boy, if I go first, it makes it for a 10k no pass against most archetype decks, which is incredible for me because Spike Brothers want that damage lead as soon as possible because they are deadly once you have that damage lead out there. And then we get into the grade 3s. First, I'm going to start off with Bad End Dragger, who was my favorite unit in the game, and the break ride for Spike Brothers. His ability is when you break ride, of course you get the 10,000 power to the Vanguard that rides it, and it gives the Vanguard the ability that whenever a rear guard Spike Brothers unit attacks, it attacks for additional 10,000 power, and then it goes back to the bottom of the deck after that attack, which is incredible for forcing your opponent to react or die pretty much. Combine that with Bracky and Reckless here, you're going to be shooting off a lot of attacks. And then the main thing you want to ride on Bad End is Deadly Emperor here. His ability is when you counterblast 2, put 2 cards from your hand into the soul, and then search out 2 Spike Brothers and call them to open rearguard circles, which leaves the potential to have 5 attacks at 10,000 boosted power on your break ride turns, which can really overwhelm your opponent, which is why you want to ride him at all costs if you can. And I had 3 in here for Atlanta, and I had Gary Gannon in there just trying to filter my hand out to try and fish for it, but that didn't really work out too well, so I decided just to take the deck back to what it was, which is the 4 Emperor. And then just a tech of 1 Skydiver. You can use Juggernaut Maximum here, but I prefer Skydiver just for that on-hit pressure. His ability is that when he attacks and the attack hits, whether it's rearguard or vanguard, you absorb it, and then you call out a Spike Brothers from your hand. Combine that with Bad End here, you can have 6 or more attacks on your break ride turn, coming off at plus 10,000 power. I'm sorry. The reason I have him here is because if your opponent tries to early guard, which is what they want to do against Spike Brothers to try and survive the break ride turn, he comes in handy along with Dudley Mason, as long as you have 3 counterblasts open, to punish your opponent for using up their hand so early to then try to survive the later attacks. I've won games with Skydiver and Dudley Mason being called out while my opponent was at 4 damage or lower, but they only had 2 cards in their hand after trying to guard all the prior attacks, which makes it really handy. So that's the little general breakdown of my deck. Just wanted to make this little fast overview of the deck, just a little shorter video than what I've given you. Hope you guys enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, and later, guys.